You started with Sonny, right?
Yeah, started with Sonny.
What year was that?
87. Yep, 87.
So you got a barber's license or the Kai's license?
Yeah, the barber's like at the particular time, right as I was getting ready to go under apprenticeship. That same year,
They switched it.
They switched.
Yeah.
They switched to the cosmetology. There was no more apprenticeship.
Yeah.
That very year that I started to go to school.
Yeah. That's good. I remember Miller told me that when I was I didn't start working there in '94, but he told me '87 was the last year they did it too.
Yeah, it was around that time.
Yep.
Yep, 87. Yep, I was like, wow. As soon as I get ready to come in, they did away with the apprenticeship.
They need to get that back though.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
They try to combine both of them. It was all about money, man. It's all about money. And all the stuff that the cosmetology stuff that I learned, I don't use none of it.
Yeah, use it.
Chemicals and the perms and stuff like that, you know. So it was just a waste. And the crazy part about it, when you went to school, they didn't really back then they didn't have no barber instructors.
Yeah, they still don't.
I had to wind up teaching the class how to cut hair, Troy and all them.
Yeah.
Him, K-Sign and all that. And
you was in school with all them?
Yeah. I went when I went back to school. But the thing was, I had went to school first, and then I dropped out. And then when I went back, that's when I was with Troy, K-Sign, Ibn, what's my Edgar Williams.
Yeah, I remember Edgar.
Oh yeah, I taught all them out at school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they gave me extra hours to teach the class.
Yeah.
Because the instructor's like, she said, I don't know how to do hair. And then even in the cosmetology book, it had nothing concerning barber. All it had was one chapter on how to comb and pick an afro. Nothing about cut.
It's still like that.
It's crazy.
Even in the barber book that they have for the barber class, they don't have much about haircutting. It's just a little bit more sanitation and
it's all about sanitation.
Like the history of barbering and stuff.
Right. We didn't even have the history of barbering.
Yeah.
At all. And then that's their history. But if you check the true history of black barbering, wow! When I did the research on that, it was so the racism inside that, because they didn't even allow us to have our own barbershops for years.
Yeah.
And then if they did hire a black barber, because when during slavery, when I did my research on it, we was the ones that had to cut the master's hair.
Yeah.
And stuff, you know? And then when the black barber was able to work in the white barbershop and stuff, they wasn't allowed, the black people wasn't allowed in there.
Yeah.
Wasn't allowed in there. So we had the best of both worlds. We learned how to cut our hair, and we learned how to cut theirs. That's why they don't know how to cut ours, and we know how to cut theirs. You know. So it was crazy, the history of barbering. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to own our own business and stuff until what year was that? It was late. It was late when we was able to own our own barbering business.
Yeah.
And then the white man didn't want the same clippers that touched the black man's hair
to touch their
hair. That's why you wasn't allowed to come in their barbershop. It was crazy.
That's a mess.
Yes, and then today's barber, they don't understand that, like you and I discussed one time before, that this is a profession. It's not a hustle.
Yeah.
And they look at it as a hustle. And that's why I dress the way I dress, because I'm trying to bring the professionalism back to the barbering. Not to knock the hip hop culture, but the hip hop culture changed the whole perception of the professionalism of barbershop.
Yeah.
Stuff, and they looked at it as a hustle instead of profession. And like if you ask somebody what the red, white, and blue stands for on the barber pole, they're going to tell you they think it's about patriotism or it's about representing the flag. No, this was a highly respected business. The red, white, and blue stands for the blood the red stands for the blood, the white stands for the bandage, and the blue for the medicine.
Yeah.
And people don't, this was, because barbering really derived from the medical field.
Yeah.
That's why we had to learn so much about the anatomy and the skin and the hair.
We used to be dentists and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why back in the day, barbers used to wear the doctor shirts that
lab coats.
Snap,
Yeah,
lab coats.
Yeah.
Because it was a highly respected profession.
Yeah, jokers get their teeth pulled in barbershop.
Yes.
That's nasty.
It was crazy, man. But look where we at now with it. You know what I'm saying? Jokers just want to make a few dollars, get in and get out and stuff. You know, it's terrible. Hey, but CJ, what's your perspective on the barbering industry now? You know, as far as professionalism. Do you feel that young people are professional or what?
It depends on. I think it's something for everybody now. You know what I mean? So if you want to shop like this, you know, you got the people that's gonna gravitate to that.
Right.
You got,
market for it.
you know, then if you want the younger, you know, some of the younger dudes I know are professional. Like take like Los in them, like you know, Los younger than me.
Yeah, Los.
And a lot of the guys, a lot of the people he have in his shop, they're pretty on point for the most part. But then there's a market for the people that want to just hang out.
To hang out. But,
yeah.
But do you think that breeds certain negativity? Because believe it or not, I mean, we're here having this conversation. I was looking on Facebook this morning, right before I came to work, 5 o'clock this morning, and I seen a scene in there where Joker was in the barbershop, and Joker came in there
and got robbed.
And robbed the Joker.
Yeah, and
right
they ain't do nothing, right?
Everybody just slipped off like, look, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of that.
And then it's I seen one where Joker got popped in the side of the barbershop. Joker came right in there, just shot him up. You know what I'm saying? And nobody says nothing. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know, and that's like I said, you create your own atmosphere.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I'm saying? And that's you know, I don't think that I'm better than anybody or anything like that, but you have to set standards for yourself and standards for your shop.
Well, you know the thing is, a lot of us, we're not getting taught. You don't get taught entrepreneurship. You know what I mean? So a lot of the barbers that I know, some of them they might have had a background. Let's say they was working a job, getting a paycheck somewhere. And then you get into this. Right. Most of us we're not doing commission and stuff. We doing the chair money game.
Right.
And then so if you're paying chair money, you kind of not really working for the owner. You know what I mean? You're working with the owner, right?
In other words, you're working with the owner, but you pretty much subcontract.
Yeah, you subcontract. Yeah,
your space out.
Yeah, and but what happens is because they didn't come from a background of entrepreneurship. You used to being a worker. It's hard to make yourself to discipline yourself to be on time, to be professional, you know, because they used to somebody else telling them, look, if you're not here at this time, you're gonna get fired, or you know, like I have that problem in my shop with some of the younger. Well, you know one of them, so and I tell him all the time because he says, well, you know, this isn't my main thing, and I said, and I told him before, I said, look, let's say if you worked at the hospital, but you worked part-time at Wawa, even though the hospital is your main job, you still have hours that you give to Wawa, and you have to be there. You're obligated to be there and be there on time, and if not, they'll fire you. And so I told him, I said, look, you think I won't fire you? I probably won't because I like you, but the reality is this is a business.
But my thing is, I never fired nobody in my life.
No.
You fired yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I never fire nobody. I don't never give people jobs. I give them opportunities. And it's up to you what you do with that opportunity. But I will be flexible at times, but then you get to a point as a business owner where you have to take a stance.
Yo, you know I had to fire before? It hurt my heart, man. I had to fire Hands.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That was my man.
Bro, that was my idol as a kid, right?
Exactly.
That Joker, when he started working with us when I was in Mikhail's shop, right?
Okay.
So right at the end, when Mikhail disappeared, and he sent Hands in there, right? And I was all excited because I'm like, yo, I used to look up to this dude.
Cat, right.
Man, Hands wasn't paying no chair money. He was paying what he wanted every week.
Right.
And just playing me out every week. And the chair money back then was $150.
Okay. Okay.
Sometimes he give 100, sometimes 90, sometimes 120.
Give you what he wants.
Yeah, and I was just like, I couldn't say nothing because at the time we didn't have nobody else working there, right? And so what ended up happening, as soon as I found some other barbers to replace him,
Right.
we didn't have enough chairs. So he had to, I needed his chair. And I went to him one day, I said, look, bro, I'm sorry, but, and he said, well, what you mean? And I said, you know what you've been doing, man. And he don't talk to me this day, man. I felt bad if I see him. But, I was like, bro, you did it.
Business is business, man. You have to separate, business from friendship. Yeah, like I said, we all family here, but you come to a point, because I had a barber, man, this is no lie, Julio can contest to this.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, I let him go 12 times. That's how many times I let him go and let him come back. Because I'm trying to, but I had to come to the point that this is A&O Barbershop. This is not John Brooks Drug Center.
Yeah,
I don't have a degree in counseling.
Yeah.
And it was driving me nuts.
Yeah. I went through that.
But you're trying to help people, you know what I'm saying? Because if it not be for the grace of God, there go I. I'm not judging you. That's why I give you so many chances. But then comes to a point as a business owner, you have to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, you got to. You got to, man.
And they know that, they will come, go to Mike. Mike will give you a shot. Mike will give you a shot. And I will. Now it's like, when I see those signs now, man, listen, I'm getting older.
Yeah, I ain't giving no shot. Yeah.
For that,
and see, I'm like this. I might have chairs open. I don't need all the chairs full though.
Right. To keep the doors open.
Yeah, they don't.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't need. The barbers they'll think like, what they do. People will call, and I'm sure this happened to you, right? They'll call and they'll call on the phone and say, "Hey, you got any chairs open?" And I'll be like, "Bro, that's not how we do business." You know what I mean? Like if you wanted a job in a casino or Walmart or something, you won't call down there and say, "Hey, you got any openings?" You come down, you ask, "How do I put an application in?"
Right.
You know what I mean? I want some information. Like I want to know where you from, what you doing, where you live, what's your last name. They don't want to give you nothing. They just think, "Oh, look, man, I can whatever the chair is, I can pay the booth rent." And
right. And then the other thing is, I have barbers come to me and say, "Yeah, you got an opening?" And I was like, "Well, where'd you just leave from?" He said, "Well, I left from this shop, and I used to work with this one. I used to work with that one." They give me about like 6 or 7 different shops they worked at. I said, "Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
You have no longevity, and you've been jumping around, so you have a problem with something." So as soon as they open their mouth thinking that's gonna boost their, chances of getting in with me, you done shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
You done gave me too many shots.
In the same way, man.
No, you got that like Julio. Julio's been with me 15 years. So, and he told me he worked at about like 2 shops, Mr. Miller.
Yeah.
And so this guy right here has longevity. That's the type of thing I want to hear.
Yeah, that's what I want.
No, I understand that, but
oh yeah, back in the day, Julio was a delinquent.
He grew with me and stuff. He knew what Julio knew what I stood for, and he understand the concept that I was. And now if he wanted to open up his own shop, he gonna be a great businessman himself. He know what it takes, but he knows what comes with it. With dealing with barbers, so he don't want that headache.
But see, that's what I tell people, right? Julio smart, right? You better off working together. You know what I'm saying? I tell these dudes all the time, if it wasn't for all the stuff that happened at the old shop I was at, I'd have never opened a barbershop.
Right.
And there ain't really no reason, because I make money. I make good money. I'm not making that much more as an owner than I would have been had I just been working in somebody else's shop.
There's been plenty of times I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shut down. I'm gonna go work for somebody. I'm gonna go to work and go home. They don't understand what it takes to really. It looks the anointed and the blessed makes it look easy, and they don't understand what it takes. They don't understand that you're anointed and you're blessed and stuff. It ain't for everybody, bro. It's to be a business owner. I was gonna shut down and we was gonna go to Sonny shop right before Sonny passed away.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Julio will tell you.
I don't blame you.
Julio, I can't do it no more.
I don't blame you.
But I love Julio, and I said, you know what? We're gonna keep these doors open because Julio know this is not just because my name is on it. I'm paying this, that, and that. This is our shop.
This is your shop.
I never
Yeah.
said he'll tell you in a heartbeat. I never say my shop, my shop.
I don't do that either.
No, this is our shop.
Yo, I tell
And it's the
everybody,
customer's shop.
like my man at the shop down the street. Like I used to tell him, I sat in there one night, and that's my man. I love him to death. One day they was closing up, and I seen him yelling at everybody in the shop. Right? Oh, this is my shit. And I'm like, bruh, I said, you can't do that. You can't do that. And because what ends up happening, I mean, you've been in longer than me, right? So you'll see when all the barbers get fed up with you, they leave. They leave and they'll go set somebody else shop up. And then when they get mad with that guy, everybody leave that shop. And most of the times it usually ain't ever about the money. It ain't about them not getting no clients. Right. It's usually the owner's ego that mess everything up.
And I know a shop that was like that. The owner didn't cut no hair at all and stuff. And you had all the barbers in there. So you need these barbers to keep the door open. Why would you piss all the barbers off and everybody walk out on you? Now you just got a building sitting there and you can't make it.
That was the problem at every shop I worked at. Every single except for Ronnie's shop at Classics. And believe it or not, as hood as Classic is, and they got that reputation, that might have been the best shop I ever worked at.
Oh, right.
Like professional wise. Like, and I don't mean like in the business, but just as the owner, he was approachable. He listened to you,
Exactly.
Now I didn't like the atmosphere, and you just get that from being on Main Street.
Right, the atmosphere.
But even when where I was at, the side of Classics I was on, people would come in, they would say, this side is the hood and CJ's side is the suburbs. That's what they used to do. Right. And it was cool because I didn't have all that nonsense around me. But, eventually I had to leave. But if when I had the chance to, like when Legends was closing down, I was looking around for shops, nobody had chairs open. Right. So I almost ended up back at Classics. And the only reason I came and opened up my own place was because like everybody wanted to go with me. So all the barbers wanted to go. And I was like, well, I got to get enough room. But if it wasn't for that, I would have never opened up my own shop. I'd have just went somewhere else and hung out. But if the owner isn't agreeable and they're not willing to make changes and be flexible with things, and nobody's going to stay there forever. No. And nobody want to be around a tyrant. That